recording right now. And that recording gets added in a couple different places. It gets added to our Facebook discussion group. It gets added to our YouTube channel. I'll show you one way that you can quickly find those through KV Core in just a second here. Additionally, I'm going to showcase where you can go to enroll for more of these success meetups, one of which is you can actually grab your phone and you can scan the QR code that I have showcasing on my slide right now. So if you wanted to, you could scan the screen to go enroll for more of these sessions. I'll give a quick minute here, and then we'll also transition into KV Core itself, and I'll show you through the live training calendar. You'll see that these sessions are also found there. We host them every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and the tips and tricks we share always change. We do try to make a habit of posting what the upcoming topics will be in our Facebook discussion group as well. So I'll show you where to go for that. And if you're not already familiar with what tomorrow and Thursday's topics will be, I'll make sure to share those out with you guys as well. All right, so transitioning into KV Core, I'm going to head on over to the right-hand side where we'll see our training calendar. If you go and click there, you'll choose the time zone which best applies to you. And there are, again, options Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday every week. Tuesday, Thursday sessions tend to be with one of our many KV Core trainers. I teach a lot of our Tuesday sessions. My name is Mariel Ortiz. Nice to meet you guys. But additionally, we have our Wednesday sessions, which can sometimes be a little bit more advanced, and they're usually held by our Done For You services specialist, Heather. Heather is amazing, a wealth of knowledge there. If you're looking for more kind of advanced content, the Wednesday sessions are always a great one to check. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you can always find them here. Now, additionally, through this training calendar, if you scroll on up to the top, you'll find there are links to Inside Real Estate's Facebook discussion group and our YouTube channel here. YouTube channel is where we post the recordings. If you go check out the playlist page, you will find there is a whole playlist dedicated to Success Meetup webinars. I'm not sure what the total is at yet, but it's definitely well over 100 hours of video content in there. So feel free to dive right in if you're interested. It's also pretty easy to just use the little search bar on YouTube, search a topic that you're looking for. We've got webinars, past success meetups on landing pages, squeeze pages, on text deliverability, so many goodies in that playlist there. But I like to also point out the Facebook discussion group and mention we usually always try to put a post in here, not only some of our past success meetups, but we try to post what the upcoming topics will be in here. And if you look at recent media on the right, there's usually a big, we try to make them consistent, a big green image that you'll see that has the upcoming success meetup topics. So tomorrow with Heather, you'll be talking about building your listing promotion templates. And I'll be honest, I'm not sure exactly which trainer is running Thursday's session, but it's about a smart assistant, which is a new feature that's coming to KV Core. It's powered by ChatGPT, makes it a little bit easier to, format text messages and email responses to send out to your contacts and leads. So really a helpful tool coming soon to KV Core. So if you're interested, those are the upcoming topics. All right, one more thing I want to share out with you guys before we jump in and get started. If you've joined me in a success meetup webinar in the past, let's go ahead and put on my camera too. Hi, my name is Mariel Ortiz, and I teach a lot of the Tuesday sessions, not every Tuesday session, but a lot of them. And every time I teach a KV Core Success Meetup, I like to create a handy little doc for you guys, or kind of an outline of the topics we'll talk about. I find it's helpful just to kind of compile any resources, support articles related to our topic in one place. So that way, throughout my presentation, if I'm saying, hey, there's a support article on that, you don't have to go search for it, or you don't have to, I'm not adding it to the chat in the moment. You have to click every time I mention it. It's just all compiled in one place. So let's share this out with you guys, and then I'll explain what goodies I've got in my guide here today. All right, copying the link, and I'm going to paste the guide into the chats. You should see in your chat box that a message popped up. You should be able to click that in the Zoom chat to open this up on your end. And once you've got it opened up, just feel free to, save this on your screen or bookmark it for later. I always usually encourage users of KV Core, hey, if there's a resource you feel like you're going to use again, just create some bookmarks in your web browser, save those so they're easy to come back to. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit today about what hashtags are and smart CRM filters are in the KV Core platform, how to add them, how to use them, best practices, pro tips. Additionally, for all of my guides or agendas that I create, I usually put in a little challenge. I challenge all of you here today to use the tools that we talk about and apply this to your own business, to your own KV Core accounts. Maybe carve out some time to create some hashtags and some CRM filters if you have not done so already. Or if you are a regular user of KV Core, maybe it's been a while since you visited your hashtags or your CRM filters, maybe now is your cue, your memo to take time to check in on what you've got and maybe do some updates, do some spring cleaning of your database. I, of course, love to pack my guides full of helpful information. So I've got some support articles related to today's topic. I have linked a couple YouTube videos, one about hashtags, one specifically about CRM filters. If you want more content, maybe from a different trainer's perspective, you can check those out too. I know different people will respond to maybe different trainers, different individuals. Maybe the way I explain something is different from the way, my fellow trainer Christina explains something or my fellow trainer Kelly explains something. So, if you resonate more with a different trainer, feel free to catch those videos too. And then, of course, I always try to pop the recording link to this guide as well. So besides getting added to the YouTube channel, give me a couple hours from now. I will go and I will grab that recording link once it renders through Zoom and I'll pop it to this guide. So if you have to leave early by chance, you can, as long as you have this guide, you'll have access to the recording if you have to catch it later. All right. So to kick off today's session, feel free to let me know in the chats or give me maybe a thumbs up if you are someone who's brand new to hashtags. Maybe you're brand new to KV Core, you haven't really used them that much. I don't want to, I don't want anyone to feel on the spot here, but this gives me a good idea to see, how many people here today are maybe hashtag experts and just hoping for some pro tips, and how many of you out there maybe don't totally feel comfortable with them just yet and need some more insight on how they work. I saw a 1 or 2 raised hands there. Don't be shy. All right, a couple raised hands. Thanks guys. All right. Oh, brand new to KV Core, welcome to the family. Definitely recommend the Facebook group if you want to join kind of our community here. All right. So let's talk about hashtags if you're not familiar. Well, hashtags are, one of a couple different labels that you'll have to organize your contacts and leads in KV Core. Hashtags are probably the most popular label in KV Core because hashtags are any phrase or label of your choosing. So you really have freedom to create as many hashtags as you like, whatever variations are relevant to you and your business. And I will mention that hashtags can be used not only to organize the contacts in your CRM, but you can also, and you don't have to start out with this, but as you get more advanced, you can use those hashtags to trigger automation in KV Core as well. Someone said, I want to learn about using hashtags to keep a contact from being part of a campaign. So hashtags won't necessarily keep them from a campaign. I suppose in a roundabout way that you wouldn't necessarily be a hashtag campaign. You could make a campaign that I suppose didn't have any contents in it, apply a lead to that campaign, and make it so that, if that campaign is running, a different campaign wouldn't be able to run, I suppose. in kind of a roundabout way. I'd have to think on that a little bit, but that's not technically what we would be talking about here today. Now, in most cases, you want those hashtags to, you can have statuses also trigger a campaign, but you can also have hashtags trigger a campaign. We'll talk a little bit about how they trigger in a bit. Saw a way to say except for a certain hashtag. You can filter for all contacts without a hashtag. That is possible, but that's not necessarily relevant to the campaigns. So have to think on that a little bit, but we'll try to weave that in. All right. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about adding hashtags to your contacts, filtering for them, organizing them. Okay. So in my guide here, we'll talk a little bit. I'll jump into KV Core to show you how to add contacts into your CRM. But first, let's talk a little bit about brainstorming. What hashtags are you going to want to use in your system? So again, while they can be any phrase of your choosing, sometimes that is the biggest roadblocker for some users, because if they can be anything, which ones are helpful? Which ones do I use? Some people need some examples or some ideas to get them going. So for example, we've also got statuses and KV Core. That's another way that you label contacts in the system. Statuses refer to where a contact or lead is in their, home buying or home selling journey, in their client journey. So are they a brand new lead that maybe signed up through your website? Are they a sphere of influence contact, a friend or family member or past client? Are they a current client? Are they someone you closed a deal with? Those are statuses. And so while those can be helpful for organizing your contacts and leads, and those are pre-created for you because they correlate with our different automation tools in KV Core, like our smart campaigns. Sometimes you feel the need to get even more specific with those hashtags. So I mentioned one status is sphere, and at KV Core, we use sphere of influence or sphere contact status. That's kind of a catch-all. Again, it could be your friends, your family, your neighbors, your past clients, and that's a pretty broad category. So you could also add hashtags as an additional label to help narrow that down. So I've got some examples here. Friends and family is a hashtag. Maybe you have special deals for the type of lead or contact that it is. Maybe you do something special, or you treat your first-time home buyers a little differently from your, say, repeat customers. Maybe you're an agent that works with for sale by owner leads. Maybe you're someone who works regularly with investors. Maybe you've added in a lot of your vendors to KV Core. Vendors, to throw a different category at you or a different label at you, is a deal type in KV Core. Contacts also get a deal type. And vendor would kind of refer to anyone who's real estate adjacent. So if you didn't know, KV Core, your CRM is not just a place to house your contacts and leads, or your leads specifically. It's a place to store all of your contacts. So if you regularly want to reach out to anyone you use for real estate, maybe photographers, cleaners, repair people, stagers, your title reps, you add those to your database, and maybe adding a hashtag of their official title, maybe your group of photographers, your group of title reps, whoever it is that you're using, use those hashtags to help, again, narrow down that category. And of course, you can use it to determine kind of their timeline. Are they currently a cold lead? Are they buying in 3 to 6 months? Are they selling next year? Those could be the kind of hashtags to use, or maybe something that they're looking for in a home, like pool home, fixer upper. I have a lot of agents out there that hashtag their entire database by the zip code in which they're looking for homes, or the subdivision, the city, whatever is helpful to you. So feel free to strategize, start thinking about how you want to split up your database. Which groups of individuals would it be really convenient to be able to pull up in mass as a group, to maybe send a mass email or text to put those individuals on a campaign, to, which individuals would you want to make sure you regularly let know, if you're adding a blog post to your website, which group of individuals do you want to have on your monthly newsletter, if that's something that you're doing. So think about those groups and how you want to separate them in the system. Now, when you're creating your hashtags, if you can see in the examples here, the hashtags can have symbols. You can use numbers. You can use, underscore if you like to. Your hashtags cannot have spaces. So just be aware of that. Every once in a while, I get someone who tries to do that. And then we will talk a little bit about how to use, someone in the Q&A mentioned, how do I use multiple hashtags without duplicating? For example, when I want to send a group text to all of my hashtags, I cannot do that without duplicates when contacts are in multiple hashtags. Okay, I see what you mean. We will talk a little bit about your hashtag management tool in a little bit. That's where you can see, I know sometimes every once in a while I get an agent who forgets what their hashtag was. Maybe they used in the past hashtag pool home buyer, and then they forget that they've created it that way, and they do add a hashtag to someone else and it's pool home buyers. And then you get duplicates of essentially the same hashtag, but different phrasing. So there is a way to manage that in your hashtag management tool. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But this question is about duplicate contacts when they are in multiple hashtags. So great point. Absolutely. If I've got a lead that's in both my first time home buyer group and also my, my say buying in 3 to 6 months group, and I'm trying to pull up everybody to send a message, keep in mind, if I'm grabbing multiple text messages, it's not going to say, and depends on how you're doing it. I suppose if I were texting each group separately, yes, I could accidentally send the same person a text message twice. But if you pull up, multiple hashtags, you could, in the same sort of text message, you could make sure it's not going to send that out twice. So we'll talk a little bit about that. I think that would be easier to explain when I show it to you rather than just telling you. So we'll get into that in a minute. I'll leave your question up there. So great question. All right. So hashtags also can be added individually or en masse. So you can, and I get sometimes with new users as well, someone says, hey, do I import a list of hashtags? Well, hashtags aren't going to be something that you add all on its own. Hashtags are something you attach to a contact or lead. So your hashtags aren't just floating around in there. Hashtag can only exist if it's attached to a contact or a lead. So you can individually add your contacts in with hashtags. You could import a file of contacts with hashtags. The hashtags would just be a column in that file of contacts you're importing. And of course, you can always update your hashtags. You can delete them if they're no longer relevant. You could do that individually. You could delete a hashtag from the hashtag management tool, and you can add hashtags to a group of contacts in mass through your CRM. So we'll talk about that as well. And just also be aware if you're utilizing some of the, say, DIY lead generation tools of KV Core, like text codes or squeeze pages or landing pages, and you're posting that online to capture leads, you can build those. So that way, when that lead is captured, they're also automatically applied a hashtag. So I feel like that's a good point to stop, and then let's demonstrate some of what we just talked about here in the platform. All right, so let's head to the KV Core platform, and let's head into the Smart CRM. And we'll talk a little bit about Smart CRM's, the filters as well here. The two topics might kind of bleed into one another, so I'll make sure to introduce that now too. All right, so we're in the Smart CRM within KV Core. I'm gonna, kind of start with the basics for anyone who's new to KV Core. So hopefully we're all kind of on the same page. If you're a little bit more of an advanced user, I might be talking about some things that you already know. I apologize. But here in the CRM, let's go and make this just a tiny bit larger here. I've already added a lot of hashtags to my current contacts in here, and you can see at a bird's eye view, if I'm looking at all my contacts, underneath their name, this italicized writing is some of their hashtags. I've got a lot of hashtags for them, which is why for some of these, you'll see a little dot, dot, dot at the end. I can't fit all the hashtags in here. If I click on their name, I can see every hashtag I've applied. Now I can click into that contact to add a hashtag to them individually. I'll show you that in a second from the contact record. But also here, when we're in the Smart CRM, if you're newer to KV Core, I encourage you, leave no stone unturned. Check your drop-down menus. Here from the CRM, we've got more actions. If I click on that, I can do a lot of mass actions here, including add hashtags in mass. So I could effectively, for you guys, you'll be able to adjust your rows. I can only see 10 contacts at a time in our demo accounts. But for you guys, you can see rows of 100, 200, however many contacts you want to grab at once. You can click the little check mark to the right and specifically check, which contacts you want to receive this tag. Go to more actions, click add a hashtag, and then type in whatever hashtag you want to get added to them. So for today, let's do hashtag success meetup example. Why not? For fun. There we go. I type in the hashtag I want to use. Now, if this was a hashtag I've used before in the system, usually when you start typing, so I think I've got like pool home buyer in here as a hashtag. As you start typing, give it a second or so, it'll usually pull up if I have any similar hashtags here, which looks like I need to do some cleanup in my hashtag management tool because it looks like I've got a lot of variations of pool home buyer here. So probably something I need to clean up. But once we've chosen our hashtags, and you can choose multiple here, we'll just go click update tags. And it should, within a second, give you a little pop-up here and it'll be added to your contacts. So step number 1, adding the hashtags. All right, because Shelly, your question is just lingering in my brain about using multiple hashtags without duplicating. Let's talk a little bit about filtering for hashtags. So let me point out the filters tab over here as well. In your CRM, you have lots of different filtering options. So I know I only talked about this briefly, but first of all, you can filter by your contact's status. It's one of the labels that we apply to all contacts in KV Core. Again, that's the label that corresponds to what stage they're at in their home buying or home selling journey. Are they a sphere? Are they a current client? Is it someone I've closed a deal with? Now, if I have any admins out there in the audience, if you're someone who's running your company or office or team, might also be helpful. In some cases, agents might find this helpful to sort by assigned users. Assigned users filters will help you pinpoint who a lead is assigned to, so who's working that lead, or even, by owner, who owns the lead. Some of you out there might have some leads that were provided for you by your company. You've got company-owned leads potentially in there, so you can filter by that as well. Or if some of you have shared a lead with a fellow agent in your brokerage, you could pull by that as well. All right. Contact details. Now, this is probably the filter that's going to be really helpful to a lot of you. And we'll talk a little bit about hashtags and hashtag is not. And then we'll probably come back and revisit these filters. We might bounce around a little bit to make sure we're answering everybody's questions out there. So if I wanted to send a mass text message through KV Core, so we see mass email, mass text message options here. I could, if I wanted to send a message or a text message to everyone with the same hashtag, I can go and I can search by that hashtag. So I already know I've got some people with pool home buyer, so let's pull up them. Now, to help prevent that being sent to duplicate contacts. If I've already sent a text message to everyone with the hashtag 3 to 6 months, but I might have some people in that category that are also in my pool home buyer, but I want to get the people who weren't caught. I might do filter for pool home buyer, but do not have the hashtag 3 to 6 months. So that would be an effective way to exclude some people while including the rest. So I think that might help you a little bit, Shelley, if that's helpful to you. And you should also be able to, I believe, include, okay, or, yeah, so you can't do or logic with these hashtags. I could pull up multiple hashtags. So if they have any of these hashtags, you could pull them up and then exclude others. So there's different ways that you could kind of use these filters to get really specific about who it is that you're reaching out to. So for anyone who's having that problem with sending messaging to duplicate contacts, feel free to explore that. Let's go ahead. Let's talk a little bit more about these filters. We'll individually add a hashtag to someone, and then we'll go revisit where we're at in our guide and see what else we want to make sure we're checking in on as well. If you have any questions as we go along, whether they're related to today's topic or related to something else in KV Core, keep in mind these success meetups are also open Q&A. So if you've got questions about KV Core, don't be shy. Feel free to pop them in the chat or Q&A. I'll try to make time for them today. All right, so we've got hashtags is or is not. Above that are the deal types I also briefly mentioned. I mentioned some of you in there might be adding some vendors to your database, but also, you know, if you want to pinpoint your buyers, your sellers, your renters, other agents, it's very easy to sort for that as well. As we're flipping through these filters, let's talk about, like, you know, some specific case uses. Maybe I know I need to reach out. Maybe I want to get in touch with all my prospects, new leads, and active leads that are buyers specifically. Maybe I want to search for everyone with a specific hashtag that I sign, or someone who does not have a hashtag I have, or I've you know, a specific hashtag. Maybe I want to exclude anyone who said they were, you know, hashtag not looking right now. Maybe I have them in my system. And then I could search by source as well. Maybe this is a message that I want to specifically send to leads that I've imported into my database. That might be their lead source or where that lead came from. Or maybe this is a message that I'm sending out specifically to website leads. Agent website would also be a contact source. I do like to explain there's contact source and system source here. So contact source is typically whatever source that you've added to that lead when you added them to KV Core. A system source is whatever the system, whatever KV Core thinks that lead source is. So for example, if I imported a file of contacts and I said their source was, these were email contacts, for example, I could say their source was email contacts. But the system is going to say that their source, that these leads came from a lead import. So different sources. The system thinks it came from an import. That's all the system knows. But according to me, they came from an email. So two different options here. We've got a contact source, what I think their source is, and what the system thinks their source is. But maybe, again, I'm in here and filtering. Maybe source isn't relevant to today's topic, but maybe I know I want to send a message to, maybe I specifically want to send a text message. So I want to filter for who has a phone and who's subscribed to text message. Get really specific just to those group of individuals. And you'll notice there's a lot of options. Do they have an email? Are they unsubscribed from emails? You can also filter who has a birthday or doesn't have a birthday in the system. So a little pro tip there, if you didn't know, we've got tools in our marketing tab. You can automate email or text messages to go out to wish your contacts happy birthday. You just got to make sure they have birthday in your CRM. So that is a filter here. If you're not sure if you've added people with birthdays or you're not sure who's missing a birthday, this could be an easy way to determine that by filtering for those people. And then we've also got things like behavior. Are they already receiving things like search alerts or market reports? Maybe this text message is just specifically to people who don't have search alerts. Maybe I'm asking if they want to be placed on a search alert. Or maybe they performed an action on my website. Maybe this text message is just going out to people who in the past requested a showing on my site or asked a question about a specific listing or specifically their property interest as well. So you got lots of filter options. You just apply the filters if you want to pinpoint those groups of individuals. We'll talk a little bit about saving filters and pinning them as well as we start to strategize here. All right, and let me see. Oh, okay. We got a couple questions about traffic to websites. You cannot change the system source's answer. Unfortunately, that is not something that you can control. And someone also said, how do I get where we're at? So the website question, I apologize. I will save that till a little bit later because it's unrelated to our topic right now, but I will make sure to try to fit that in today. But yes, I'm in the Smart CRM and KD Core. I just collapsed the side menu with this little hamburger icon. So I'm in the CRM and I was just in the filters section, which you'll see on the left-hand side, the filters tab. And then these boxes here are all, you can expand any of them. So assigned users is who the leads are assigned to or owned by. Contact details is usually where you'll find things like options for deal type, their hashtags, are they subscribed? Behavior was if they have alerts or reports or performed a behavior on a website. And then property interest is, what area, beds, baths, that side of things. All right, so those are our filters. And then someone asked in the chat, is there a way to automate adding a hashtag for when a lead has responded to emails or text messages? I don't know that there is a way to automate that necessarily, but you could have a little pro tip that I've got in my guide there is if you've got someone on a smart campaign, now some of our campaigns might have hashtags in them. It's always a good idea to kind of go and review that, but you can add to any campaign a task or an action where it adds a hashtag to them. So if they're in, say, any campaign that you can think of there, a common one that I like to give, an example I like to give is say if I had a group of individuals contacts on a smart campaign for because I closed a deal with them. I like to put at the end of that campaign a step where it adds a hashtag to them that they, they've been through that smart campaign that says, hey, completed closed campaign or something to that variation. So that way I can tell, hey, that lead's already been through this campaign. So you could build a campaign that maybe you attach to someone when they respond to an email or text. Maybe the first step of that campaign is responded to email, responded to text. So different ways that you could do that. Absolutely. And then additionally, if you know for a fact that, hey, they responded to an email or text, maybe as part of your kind of plan of action, you go to that lead, you double check that they've changed their status to an active lead because maybe they were a new lead and they responded, the system changed it to active. Maybe as soon as you see that, you make a plan to also add a hashtag to them. So different ways that you could kind of strategize about that. So for anyone who is not familiar with, adding hashtags or updating hashtags individually, I want to quickly showcase that as well. So I'm going to just click on my first lead here, Heather Combs. We'll go click on her, open her on up. And on the left-hand side of her timeline here, we scroll down just a little bit, we've got hashtags. So here's all the hashtags I've added to Heather. Another little pro tip I like to share, I get a lot of agents, especially new agents, that debate, how to enter in spouses to the system. Maybe you've got Mr. and Mrs. Heather Combs in your database and you're debating, should I enter them as one person? Should I enter them as separate individuals? Well, typically, if you want to respond to each spouse separately, maybe they should receive separate search alerts, or maybe want to email or text each person, not just, one of the spouses. I know every once in a while you get someone who, maybe the wife's in charge. She's the one who's receiving all the messaging. She's the one handling the deals, or vice versa. In that case, maybe you just enter one of them. But if they both want to be contacted separately, they should be entered as separate contacts. And then the question is, well, how do I kind of help tie them together? How do I help associate Heather here with whoever her spouse is in my database? So what I like to do sometimes is add hashtag, the Combs. If their last name is both, Combs, adding the Combs, if I see that for her, I can also see in KV Core, if I go type in that hashtag, it's going to pull up both of them. It's a little reminder to me that, hey, she's just one party in a couple. Or you could do things like, hashtag spouse Combs, or something like that. Something that's going to be a little reminder to you. And you could also back it up with a note as well. Something I'll also point out, because I just saw it in the center here, every time you add a hashtag, you'll see that in the center of your screen. Now, one more very important point that I want to mention about, spouse what? Spouse and then their last name. So I use the example of spouse Combs, if that's their same last name, but you could use something else that's relevant. So I could do, Heather's spouse, and they both have the same hashtag. Both couples give them the hashtag Heather's spouse. And, it obviously with Heather, she is her own person and the spouse is someone else, but at least they have the same hashtag to help tie them together. So use whatever kind of naming convention makes sense to you there, but adding spouse somewhere in that hashtag is a little reminder to you. All right, but something very important to note here is you'll notice in the timeline, it says hashtag added, and it's got the little hashtag or pound symbol in front of the word. But on the left-hand side, there's no hashtag or pound symbol to be found. In most places in KV Core, you don't really need to use the hashtag or the pound symbol when adding a hashtag. I don't know if you guys caught it when I was adding in that hashtag in mass, but I didn't type in the hashtag or that pound symbol. I just typed in the word I wanted to use for the hashtag. So in most cases, you don't have to add that symbol. I think that symbol is really added just kind of as an identifier to help remind you, hey, this is a hashtag. So most cases, you don't need to add that. The few cases where you would add the pound symbol or the hashtag symbol in front is if you're searching by hashtag in your CRM, you can use the filters if you just want to pull up an existing hashtag, or if I'm adding it to the search bar, in that case, I would add the pound symbol. So that's going to pull up everybody with that hashtag. So everybody I marked there. And then additionally, I will mention as well, if you're manually entering a contact, I mentioned you can manually enter someone with a hashtag. Hashtag doesn't have its own field when you're manually entering a contact. They allow you to add hashtags in the note box. So I could, add a note, adding a note, or I could hashtag add a hashtag. So just to help tell the difference there. So do be aware of that. I feel like sometimes that throws agents off a little bit if you're newer to the KV Core platform. In most cases, you don't need to use that pound symbol there. It's really only when you're searching or if you were manually adding a lead with a hashtag. All right, let's go back and check our guide real quick. I know time is flying. I want to make sure to point out the hashtag management tool. I want to quickly show you guys how to save a filter. And then, of course, I want to make sure to leave a little time to answer additional questions. So someone asked about creating traffic to our website. So I'll quickly point out the lead generation tools. I will mention I'm probably going to direct you to some videos from our YouTube channel on landing pages, squeeze pages, and text codes, because I recently just did a whole series of success meetups on those tools, and those will all, can all be used to drive more traffic to your website. All right, but let's talk a little bit about, what we haven't touched on just yet. So I did mention that little pro tip. Feel free to add hashtags as a step into your smart campaigns. I mentioned end of your smart campaigns, but you can add them anywhere you like in your smart campaigns if you want to automatically apply hashtags to your leads as they go through their campaign journey. I find that it's really helpful at the end of campaigns to help track who has completed a campaign. We'll talk about the hashtag management section, and then we'll talk about pinning filters. And I'll give you an example of saving a filter or pinning a filter in the CRM. But in addition to doing that in your CRM, your listings tab also allows you to save filters and pin them in the exact same way. So pretty cool. But first, let's complete our discussion of hashtags, and then we'll dive into a wrap up of the filters as well. All just pro tips, again, things that you might want to check in your own databases if you haven't given them a little cleanup in a while, or if you're in the process of setting these up. So in the marketing tab, we'll head here. If you scroll on down to the bottom, there is a box here called hashtag management. Now, this is where you can go to view all of the hashtags you created in KV Core. In your individual agent accounts, you're just going to see the hashtags that you've added to your contacts and leads in the system. So it should list them all here. And I think it's a good idea every once in a while to give this a little look and double check that you don't have a lot of duplicate contacts. You might think, oh, I sent that message to everybody with this hashtag, but this lead that I expected to have this hashtag wasn't sent the message. Why is that? Well, every once in a while, it's really easy to, accidentally forget what your hashtag was and, maybe just add a slight different variation of that. Maybe you used an underscore in one of your hashtags. Maybe you added an S to the end of one of your hashtags. So it's a good idea to check here and make sure that you don't have duplicates of your hashtags every now and then. So I've got add more and add more hashtags. If these are essentially mean the same thing to me, I can use this hashtag management tool to merge the hashtags here. So I can click on both of these, click merge hashtags, and then choose the new hashtag that I want them to be included in. So maybe I just want both to be add more hashtags. That's how I would just choose that I want them both to be phrased as. And I could save that and it will merge those two together. If I have any of those individuals with either hashtag on a search alert, a smart campaign, or something else, that'll all transfer over as well. All right, so good idea to take a look at the hashtags that you have in the system. You can tell I've added a lot to this test account. You can also edit the hashtags here if you want to. So 3 to 6 months, if I just wanted to just change the phrasing for that one, I could update that here. If a hashtag is no longer relevant, I can delete it as well. And it will always show you the number of contacts associated with that hashtag. So hashtag 3, that looks like that was probably an accident. I can go and I can click here. Okay, it's attached to John Smith. I could check John Smith's record if I wanted to, and I could double check. Is there any reason why we would have hashtag 3? I can go check in the timeline if I needed to. So hashtag 3 was probably an accident from what I can tell here. So that might be worth deleting. So double check your work here. Again, if you click on the name of the hashtag, it's going to show you all the contacts associated with that hashtag, and you can click on their names if you want to pull up their record here. You can remove individuals from a hashtag here. So in the CRM, you're not going to see options to remove hashtags in mass, but you could do that here from the hashtag management tool. And I do like to always point out this tool because this is actually a newer feature. I think this has only been with KV Core, I want to say maybe a year or two, not very long. So if you're a long user of KV Core and you didn't know that this tool is here, definitely make sure you check it out. And then of course you can create new hashtags here and apply them to leads as well from the right sidebar if you need to. You can even save them or add hashtags to everyone with a saved filter here if you wanted to. So let's quickly wrap up today's discussion with also saving filters, pinning those filters in the CRM. So head back to the CRM real quick. head back to our filters. Now we already explored these filtering options. I'm in the same place. And I just like to point out that as you're strategizing what hashtags are going to be relevant to you in KV Core, also strategize what groups are going to be helpful for you to reach out to. If you're, again, regularly keeping in contact with your new leads, your prospects and active leads by mass email or mass text, you might want to pinpoint those users that have an email, that are subscribed to email. Maybe they have a specific hashtag as well. And you can not only apply those filters to view that once, but you can save those filters as well. When you're saving a filter, you're going to give it a name. So this is going to be, a very common, let me show you a common filter that we usually recommend for all new users. If you don't already have this as a filter, this is probably a good one to save. So if I select my prospects, my new leads, and active leads, and also go to behavior, I want to make sure that these new leads, prospects, active leads are probably on some form of automation. I know some of you guys out there might be rock star agents that are purposely, reaching out to everyone, maybe individual emails or text messages, or you're really on top of your game. But chances are you could be a little bit more efficient in your business if you automated some messaging, if you had some sort of reoccurring, nurture or messaging that's going out to keep in touch with them. If you get sick, if you're injured, if you're unavailable to reach out, automation is always running, even when you need a break or you're unable to, or you're maybe handling another client. So I always think it's a good idea to keep on top of what we call your unengaged leads, who's not on automation. So I checked, again, my prospects, my prospective clients, my new leads, probably my online, my internet leads, the ones that haven't responded to me yet, and my active leads, those actively searching and actively communicating with me. And I could remove those if maybe I want to give my active leads a more personal touch. But choose which leads should be receiving some sort of automation, maybe either a search alert, a market report, or a campaign. And from the behavior section, pinpoint exactly who that is, who doesn't have search alerts or reports or campaigns. They don't have to have all of them, but we want to make sure they're on probably at least one of these pieces. And you could save that filter, give it a name. Again, we say something like unengaged leads, but name it whatever naming convention is going to be memorable to you. And you can click this toggle to save this filter as a quick link at the top of your CRM. Now, I've actually already saved unengaged leads, so I'll show you where that goes. Now, every time you pin a filter to your CRM, it's going to show up here at the top. And I do want to mention these ones with the water droplets. These are technically ponds. We're not going to get into that today, but those are technically not saved filters. If I scroll to the right here, click this little right arrow, those without the water droplets, these are saved filters. So I've got prospects, and there's my unengaged leads saved filter. So it's pinned here. And then as you pin some filters, some will also show up here under the CRM. There is a cap to how many can showcase here on the side. I believe it is just 6 different filters that you can have pinned here. So do be aware if you've got a lot of saved filters or pinned filters, they won't all show up here, but they will all show up at the top of your CRM. And then additionally, if you have filters that you've saved, but maybe you don't need to, be able to regularly access all the time, maybe you don't need to pin them, it does save all of your saved filters. So I've got a lot more saved filters than I have pinned filters. These saved filters can be used in other places as well. For example, using tools in our marketing tab like scheduled mass emails. Maybe I have a group of individuals I send holiday emails, and having them as a saved filter helps me easily pinpoint those people. I could also add that as a hashtag, but again, up to you guys. Or maybe I want to have a filter that is leads receiving newsletter, or leads receiving updates on my blog posts. So lots of different ways that you could do those. And you can also pin filters in your listings tab as well. Works the same way. All right, let's see. With the time remaining, we'll just wrap up with some questions. Let's see. We'll talk about website traffic, and then let's talk about when I send an automatic alert to Sphere or in general, I feel like people unsubscribe a lot. Is there research on if people like to receive automatic emails? I definitely hear your concerns. I do believe we've got a couple of YouTube videos on kind of strategy with that, how to reach out to individuals to get them to engage with you. Now, we do have a lot of pre-created templates in KV Core that are usually designed to try to, not scare away those leads with those kind of automatic looking emails. I mean, search alerts, market reports, those are very obviously automatic emails, but things like our kind of more personalized templates, the things that go into those smart campaigns should hopefully, not, look very obviously like an automatic email. They usually try to look a little bit more, tailored to the lead or person that it's for. But I would definitely say, yes, there is, research on the messaging that we're creating in KV Core. If you feel like you're someone who, you've tried the messages in KV Core and you want to create your own kind of personalized response, maybe, change the phrasing on some of that, you can edit the messages in the smart campaigns. You can create your own email and text templates as well to use. So that way, even though you're the one writing them and you can write whatever you like in those messages, you can use them again and again. So that way you're not handcrafting a specific message for every single person that you talk to. Again, having some automation, some saved templates in there is a huge time saver. So that way you're not creating everything from scratch for every single contact or lead. There's a happy balance to be found. So if you're not familiar with it, in the Smart Campaign section, you can create things like templates here. And I also find for some of you out there, if you do like giving a personalized touch, but sometimes you don't always know what to say to a contact or a lead in your messages, keep in mind our Thursday success meetup is going to be on the Smart Assistant, how we're adding in ChatGPT to help set up messaging through email and text your leads. That'll be a new KV Core feature. So if you want to learn more about that, that's Thursday success meetup. It's not a feature in here just yet for all users, but something that's coming down the pipeline. All right, but anyways, here in the marketing tab, I went to Smart Campaigns. If you didn't know, all the templates of KV Core are stored here. And if you want to create your own email or text template, if you build them here, you can use them anywhere where you'd send out a template in KV Core. So it's easy to find if you're adding them into a campaign, if you're sending a mass email or text through the CRM, if you're using the scheduled mass email tool, you can just grab those templates you've created. All right, and I apologize if you're still with us, the question about creating traffic to your website, I apologize that it's taken me a little bit of time to get to it, but hopefully you're still with us. I want to quickly click on the lead engine here. And also there's some tools in Web and IDX to help create traffic to your website as well. But lead engine, specifically things like landing pages and squeeze pages, text codes as well, can help drive traffic to your website. So I find that it's always helpful, number one, probably one of the easiest things that you can do is if you've got a new listing, post it on your social media pages, and have it link back to your KV Core website. It's a great way to drive interest there. Now, if you don't have a listing, there's lots of different reasons that you could create or different uses you could build a landing page or a squeeze page for and post that out on social media. Maybe you build a landing page that you mention, some local activities or events that's going on by near you. And it says on this landing page that you build out, maybe you say something like, and this is not a great example, I don't have one currently on me, but pretend this said, instead of San Diego Fixer Up listing, pretend this said San Diego, what's the nearest holiday, Labor Day. San Diego Labor Day events near you or special deals near you. Click, sign up here to get sent to a list of activities in your area, something to that effect. And you have them register, or you could build a landing page that doesn't require registration, but maybe just that link directs them back to your website. Additionally, you could build not only a landing page, but you could build things like squeeze pages, just offering people, the free perks that they get when they check out your site. Hey, are you interested in a home valuation? Well, click this link below to be redirected to my site where you can get that home valuation. Are you curious on how the real estate market is doing in your area? Well, click the link below to be redirected to my website where you can receive these reoccurring reports on, how, local home value is doing in your area, things to that effect. So feel free to create these out and text codes as well. You're looking to capture some cell phone numbers. The idea here is someone texts the code that you've created and it's going to capture their phone number, add that to your CRM, and you can choose whatever sort of text message they receive in response. So you could craft a message. You could say, hey, thanks for texting this code. I saw that you were interested, in this open house. Here's the details. If you want to know more about the listing, here's a link to that listing on my site. Or different ways. Hey, you said that you texted this code because you're interested in receiving, updates on my newest blog post. Here's a link to the blog post page on my site. So lots of different ways that you could drive them back to your website. Now, I do keep mentioning things like blog posts, maybe you add in some content to your site. Maybe you've got some real estate advice to share, things like that. Adding content to your site is also going to increase traffic. Adding value to your site is going to increase traffic. And then also, improve the searchability as well as you're updating it. So a lot of website updates, things like that, you'll do in Web and IDX. Now, Web and IDX can also be used to change the general aesthetics of your site, the visual appearance. But again, if you're talking about driving traffic to your website, the value adds are really what's going to do that. So things like blog posts, things like adding in custom content, like custom pages and things like that. And when you're building these, you can also add in things like what's called meta tag descriptions and meta tag keywords. And those are kind of the keywords that when someone's doing a Google search, how it helps them, find the information that you're talking about. So if I'm creating a custom page, for example, about New Year's events in San Diego, I might put in some keywords like San Diego, New Year's events, might some way tie it into real estate. But if someone does a Google search with any of those keywords, again, increases the likelihood that they're going to pull up my page. So I know we don't have a lot of time here, but just wanted some quick examples to throw your way. We do have lots of success meetup videos on things like traffic for your website. So lots of videos on landing pages, squeeze pages. I think there's a couple different videos on site content. Usually I do some around every holiday. So I've got a lot of holiday related ones for creating things like custom pages. So those might also be videos for you to check out. All right, folks. We are at the end of our time. Somehow I'm always, never sure we're going to use all of our time, but somehow it always happens. Apologize if I'm just jabbering over here, but I hope this was helpful to you guys. I hope you guys hopefully grab something that might be helpful to your journey in KV Core, something that you might use yourself. Again, if you haven't created hashtags or CRM filters, I encourage you to do that yourself. Or if it's been a while, check your hashtag management tool, check the saved filters, see if there's any, see if you could, maybe devote a half hour or an hour to your KV Core platform and make some updates, make sure those are relevant, see if there's anything you could do to make your system a little bit more efficient for you and your business needs. With that, I'm going to share out one last time in the chat. If you missed my guide, here is the link. So you can always reference the articles I talked about later if you need to, and The support articles I got linked as well. There's also links to the YouTube channel, the Facebook group, if you want to know more about those. And of course, I'll post today's recording at the bottom of the sheet within a couple hours. Thank you so much for joining, and I wish you all lots of success with your KV Core platforms. Take care, everyone.